Yes, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today with us, we have Dr. Mahesh Balasubramani. He is an assistant professor, grade 1 at National Institute of Construction Management and Research. He is in civil engineering from IIT Madras. He was a former assistant manager with L&T Construction. His area of interest is project organizing, mega project management, digital construction management. Today, he is going to deliver a lecture on recent advances and career opportunities in the construction, real estate, and project management sector. Yes, sir. Sir, you can continue.
So thank you very much for the introduction, and very warm regards from Nikpar University, Hyderabad. And it's a great pleasure to announce this good news that the Telangana government gave this sanction to us as a university just in the last week. So until last week was just NICMAR, and now you can see on the screen it's NICMAR University, Hyderabad. So this is the news that pertains to this, and it came on April 12th. So we're all at this point today. I understand that most of you are in your final years of civil engineering, and you're all concerned about your career opportunities, right? So you're all worried whether you chose the right field or not. And given the current situation, you're seeing that a lot of opportunities are there in the IT sector. The IT sector is booming like anything, and probably you're thinking about a career in the IT sector, leaving the civil engineering sector or the construction industry. But in this webinar, I'm here to say that there are immense opportunities in the construction industry, and in fact, we are running out of candidates to get placed in very huge companies. Here at NICMAR, we have run out of candidates. All the candidates have they have been placed already, and so companies are coming and asking us for more candidates, and we are saying that everyone got placed. Okay, so that is the situation today. I'm just here to give this ray of hope that there are opportunities that are up for grabs that can pay equally or even more than the jobs in IT sector. And so let's have this kind of a structure for this webinar. So the first part is I'll be handling this first part on recent advances, and Professor KV Prasad from NICMAR, he is also a faculty from NICMAR. He'll present the second part on the opportunities in construction management and how to grab these opportunities. To speak about KV Prasad, sir, he has 14 years of experience in Hindustan Construction Company, and after that, he has joined NICMAR as a faculty. He has done Masters by Research from VIT, and he's pursuing his PhD from VIT. So when you just Google for opportunities in construction management, okay, so you might be having this question that so when we say that there are immense opportunities in construction sector, where are these opportunities? So none of these companies are visiting my campus for campus recruitment. So, but you are telling me that there are immense opportunities. So where are these opportunities? So that might be your question. Okay. So another question that you might have is, so there are some opportunities that I can find online, but all these opportunities are for experienced people. So at least they're asking 1 year or 2 year experienced people, right? So I'm going to answer these two questions of yours on why there are no opportunities today for freshers and why these companies are requiring candidates with 1 year or 2 year experience. Okay, so just some screenshots I'm putting on the screen. So in all these opportunities, you can see that they are asking at least 1 year experience in project management. Okay, so this particular company is asking for 1 year prior experience, and another such opportunity. So this company is requiring freshers, okay, but they want you to have a basic understanding of how this industry operates, and they want you to be a subject matter expert even before getting on the job. They want you to have good verbal and written communication skills. So this is the expectation of the industry. They, before getting onto the job, they already want you to have this exposure and a hang of how this industry operates today. Okay, so that is the expectation from the freshers. And So this must be frustrating for you, right? Because you must be feeling within yourself that I am as good as this 1 year experienced guy or 2 year experienced guy. Please give me this opportunity. I can perform as well as this 1 year experienced guy. Okay, please train me. Only when you train me, okay, you will get a candidate that meets your requirement. So that is your frustration, right? So this frustration resembles this situation. Let's get this webinar started on a lighter note. So let's say this BTech civil fresher is there. He walks into the office of a construction company. He goes to the owner's cabin and he hands this piece of paper and says that I'm resigning my job. Here is my resignation letter. Okay, but the owner is quite confused. Okay, he's never seen this guy in the company at all, and he's asking, "Who are you? You're not even an employee here. Why are you handing over your resignation letter to me?" And for this BTech civil candidate, okay, he's replying, "Sorry, sir. First, give me a job, then I'll resign." Okay, so this kind of reflects your frustration, right? So give me this opportunity. Okay, then I can be the person that you want me to become or you require. Okay, so this is not happening. And why this is not happening is that, so earlier 10 or 15 years back, so companies like L&T, okay, I tend to use L&T's name a lot in my presentation because I work for L&T. And so L&T used to do a lot of mass recruitments about 10 or 15 years back, and that is not happening today. And there's a reason for that. So why this is happening is, so a lot of these candidates joined, say, companies like L&T, and once they went on the job, they didn't understand their role and prospects on the job. Okay. For instance, so in your BTech curriculum, you have been taught that we plan projects or we plan for construction based on CPM and PERT. Okay, but when you go to the site and see, there is no CPM and PERT charts. Instead, you use software like Primavera or MS Project for planning. Okay, and as far as you know, okay, we track the cost using a parameter like cost overrun or time overrun. But in the industry, okay, when the construction is ongoing, we use a different kind of tools and techniques. So we use job cost reporting as a technique, or we use earned value analysis as a technique. So you can see the gap between the industry and academia, right? The way the industry is working is they are working at a different level. That quite departs from what has been taught in your bachelor's education. So same is the case. So these companies, they want you to have an understanding of construction equipment, okay, construction safety, construction quality, and all this knowledge cannot be provided at a bachelor's level. Okay, so bachelor's in civil engineering can pave way for many things, right? So you can become a water resources engineer or a structural engineer or a geotechnical engineer. Okay, there are several opportunities for you. And because of this, the curriculum at the BTech level is meant to be very broad. But if you are interested in construction management, you can see that there is a huge gap or divide between academia and industry. And second aspect is that, so as BTech candidates, you don't belong in site execution. But a lot of these companies, okay, including so big companies, they put you into site execution role, and you will see that you're working alongside diploma guys, and you won't feel so valued, and even the company will feel the same. Okay, so they'll see that the diploma guys and the BTech guy are doing the same job. Let me have more diploma guys instead of BTech guys. Okay, and so this is so because of all these situations. Okay, so these people who join construction companies as freshers, as GEDs, they leave the job. Okay, so because there is a huge gap, and you will compare yourself with the people in the IT industry. You will feel that your friends in the IT industry, they get a very proper oriented training, which runs for about 6 months or 1 year. Whether you're a civil engineer or mechanical engineer, you come out as a very good IT professional. You will have all the knowledge related to programming, and you will become an expert. So you will feel that that kind of a platform is not provided by these companies. So I have to learn a lot on the job. Okay, and my life is not so easy in this construction company. So I'm competing with all these diploma guys. So, and correspondingly, the market also is responding. Okay? Why? How the market is responding is, today the market is very, very competitive, and overheads are increasing for all these companies, and these companies would like to cut the cost. Okay, they can't afford this kind of an attrition. where 100 GETs join the job, and about 70 of them leave the jobs. Okay, they can't afford this kind of an attrition, and they find that attrition with GET civil freshers is very high. And you join the job, be there for 1 or 2 years, and then resign the job to take up some IT job or some other profession. Okay, so this is something that's not acceptable to the construction companies, and they understand that if you stay for 1 or 2 years, if GTs stay for 1 or 2 years, you get a hang of the work and you get cut out for the industry. Okay, and because of this reason, to cut their training expenses, they have cut down on the recruitment from the BTech campuses. So these big construction companies, they don't visit a lot of these BTech campuses, and they don't do a lot of mass recruitments at BTech level. Okay, and so what is that these companies want today? Okay, these companies absolutely want freshers, but these freshers should be knowledgeable about how the industry operates, and these freshers should be knowledgeable about the recent advances in the industry in terms of materials, technology, and managerial techniques. And they want the freshers or candidates to understand their role in the industry and to be cut out exclusively for this industry. Okay, and for this, the companies don't want to make investments on you. They want you to make investments on yourself for the same. And the situation today looks like, so if you want to become a geotechnical engineer or a structural engineer, you need to do a master's in these disciplines, right? And today, if you want to survive and grow in construction industry as a project manager or a project director, today post graduation in construction management is becoming most necessary. And we are conventional in thinking that the roles in the industry is just a contractor's job or a GET's job. But today, a lot of consulting related jobs and a variety of job profiles are available. And what are these kind of profiles? So one is, so real estate companies. So take the case of real estate companies. They want freshers to have an understanding of real estate development, about real estate regulations, about marketing and sales, okay, and about property valuation and property economics as well. And so if you take risk advisory firms, they want you to understand about risk management techniques and other project consulting techniques as well. And if you take PPP companies, so an example of PPP is your Vadodara Halol Toll Road project. It's a public-private partnership. Okay, so or your airports, all this Mumbai airport, Delhi airport, where GMR, GVK, so they are the concessionaires. These are all PPP projects. So here the role is that you need to manage this infrastructure as a business. You need to have a commercial outlook on this infrastructure development. So your role is not just construction, but to manage the business aspects of this infrastructure. Okay, so this is the expectation of the industry. So they want you to upgrade and upskill yourself in a lot of these areas and to be ready for the industry. Okay, and this is only possible through a post graduation. Okay, so we'll come back later. So final 20 minutes, maybe we'll look at how NICMAR can help you in this. But you all read Quora, right? Even in Quora, people tell that with just be in civil engineering, you'll just get jobs related to quality checks, but you won't really become a project manager or a project director. Your growth is very stunted if you just have a B in civil engineering. So a post graduation in civil engineering is becoming most necessary today. Okay, and particularly a post graduation in construction management. And the difference, okay, what this post graduation is going to do to your career is this. So if you join as a GET to become a tier 1 managerial employee, it will take about 8 years. Okay, a minimum of 8 years it will take, and mostly you will start out as a site execution engineer, and your starting pay is very limited. But as a postgraduate in construction management, okay, so you will join as a senior engineer, okay, and you won't have any probation. Within a span of just 3 years, you will enter this tier 1 managerial cadre. Okay, that means after your BE, okay, including your master's study period. So master's study period of 2 years. Okay, so you will be a manager in about 5 years. Okay, whereas in the case of joining as a GET, you will be a manager only in a span of just 8 years. Okay. Okay. And so as a postgraduate in construction management, so these companies like L&T, they offer this opportunity later on. Once you work for 3 years, they'll offer you this opportunity of doing executive MBA at reputed institutions. Your promotion and everything is fast tracked, and you'll be posted in departments like BIM, planning, costing, coordination, control, okay, MIS, procurement, and strategic management, not in execution. Okay, so this is where you belong. This is where BTechs belong. Maybe diploma guys belong in execution roles, but you belong in these kind of roles. And the starting pay for these kind of roles is 6.5 lakhs per annum. The starting pay is very high. Okay, and construction firm is just one of the options. Okay, I'm just looking at a construction firm, but there are several other options as a postgraduate. So these options are not there for a BTech guy. So what are these options? So look at these. So all this information is available in Facebook or LinkedIn. Okay, so you can see what kind of profiles people are taking. Postgraduates in construction management are taking. So their profiles look like investment risk, management, and valuation. So that's their profile. And Bechtel. So in Bechtel, there are management training. Bechtel is a major construction company in US, like how L&T is in India, and they get placed in consultant roles in companies like Deloitte. Okay, and also as a property consultant in Anurag. So what Anurag does is they provide the property consultancy services to, say, a company wants to enter India and they want to set up a plant somewhere, okay, in Maharashtra. So Anurag will do all the kind of analysis, and they'll tell this is where you need to set up your plant, okay, and this is going to be the cost, and these can be the probable contractors. They provide this kind of consultancy services. Okay, and all the manufacturers as well. Okay, they even need candidates. Okay, for sales and other functions, even for site implementation and site advisory functions, they want candidates. And so a gamut of different options are available, and particularly banks as well. They want people in asset valuation and real estate valuation area. Okay, so and the most important advantage of working with banks is that there's a very great chance that you will get a posting somewhere near your hometowns. You can make this representation, and these companies will entertain that. Maybe big construction companies will say, wherever I have opportunities, you need to go there. Okay, but in the case of banks, it is a little different. They will entertain your preferences. Okay, so if some of you want to be near your hometowns, that is possible when you join these banks. So these banks don't recruit people at a BTech level. Only at a postgraduate level, these banks take people. Okay, and also software companies, construction software companies, ERP companies, construction ERP companies, they want a lot of people for site implementation and sales purposes, and for market research purposes. They need people, construction management postgraduates, and a lot of logistics companies as well, oil and gas companies as well. Okay, and to give you a proof that these companies, they don't do mass recruitments at BTech level, but at postgraduate level they do mass recruitments. So if you take NICMAR University Hyderabad campus, so L&T, so out of 200 candidates, L&T took 77 candidates. So 77 out of 200 or 210 candidates is not a small thing. Okay, this is mass recruitment, and this is not a joke. Okay, so look at other companies, like, so this company is into renewable energy, and they are doing mass recruitments. Okay, so this shows that these companies don't do mass recruitments at BTech level, but they do it at PG level, PG in construction management level. They do mass recruitments. And if you're concerned about that, maybe this post graduation will not have much value if you gain work experience. So this is proof that even with 5 or 7 years experience, or even after 10 years experience, your post graduation is going to have value. Okay, look at all these kind of vacancies that people send to us. So in every vacancy, every such vacancy, people tell that you need to have work experience. On top of that, you need to have a post graduation in construction management. Okay, that is recognized heavily by the industry. So in all these cases, you can see, so candidate must have a construction management specialization plus 7 years of work experience. Okay, so we are speaking about the construction industry, which is the second largest employer in India and second largest contributor to India's GDP after agriculture. It's a heavily service oriented field. And if this is the field that you are passionate about and you've already committed 3 or 4 years of your life to this civil engineering. So this construction industry will never fail you. And when we speak about projects, we think that it's only building projects or road projects, but it's beyond that. India is doing a lot of projects, and in all these projects, you have an important role to play. So India is doing a lot of steel plants, so a lot of sintering plants and blast furnace plants we are doing. In all these cases, civil engineers have a huge opportunity, and road projects we are aware, airport projects as well, and a lot of renewable energy projects we are doing. And even in metals and minerals and in mining areas, civil engineering candidates are required. Okay, and so even in mall projects, metros, residential buildings, civil engineers are required. You are very well aware of this. And even in oil and gas industry, in upstream, downstream, and in pipelines and refineries as well. So civil engineers are required in great numbers. And for renewable energy as well, for wind turbine, solar power construction as well, you are required. And even within the building services, so for fire protection systems and for plumbing systems, civil engineers are required. Okay, and you must all be thinking that whatever you have learned in your fluid mechanics about pump selection is for waste, right? But this is the learning that you will implement here. Okay, so what all you have learned about pump selection, pump head, and all these things, you'll be implementing here. You'll be responsible for design, construction, and commissioning of this entire fire protection system and plumbing system. And wherever construction is happening, to monitor civil works, okay, to ensure and enforce safety in civil works, a civil engineer is required. Okay, so you also need to adorn the hat as a safety engineer as well. Okay, so an electrical engineer or a mechanical engineer cannot monitor safety for civil works. A mechanical engineer can monitor safety of only mechanical works. Okay, so even the safety profiles and even for preparing environmental management plans or environmental impact analysis reports, so civil engineers are required. And water and effluent treatment plants, so here again civil engineers are required. And for power plants, factory construction, petroleum complexes, so civil engineers are required. So avenues are plenty. And it's not just during construction, even after construction is completed, civil engineers are required for facility management. Okay, and we as civil engineers, we derive the joy in pushing the boundaries of what is the largest, longest, tallest, and fastest infrastructure system. And about 15 or 20 years back, in all the cinema songs in our kind of generation during our college days, we learned that Empire State Building is the tallest building in the world. Okay, but today that benchmark has been bypassed several times, and today, so the tallest building in the world is something else. Okay, and similarly, there is a huge race that is going on between the nations on who is going to build the fastest train, and which country is going to set up or expand their high-speed rail system network. Okay, so in India, it's the Japanese system. Okay, in Malaysia and other companies, it is the Chinese bullet train concept. So in India, we have the Shinkansen concept, right? So there is a huge race that is going on, okay, to diffuse technologies in civil engineering from one country to another country as well. And here as well, you will see a lot of prospects. And in this industry today, we have two broad challenges. And so these challenges are related to sustainability. And you are very well aware about what are these challenges. Today, climate change is happening. So we need smarter material selection. We need smarter technology selection. So our technology should not use a lot of energy. Okay. And so we need better managerial techniques for this. And in terms of scale and complexity, we need all these metros and all these infrastructure, not tomorrow, but yesterday. Okay. So we are all making a huge time overruns on these projects, and we are doing these projects at a great delay. And there needs to be a better way to handle this. Okay. So in accordance, there are advancements in construction materials, construction technology, and project management systems. So in response to these sustainability related challenges and complexity and scale related challenges, there are advancements in materials, technology, and project management systems. And all these three things are interrelated. I can give you an example how these three things are interrelated. Okay, so take the case of say for building faster, we are going for precast construction, okay, or we are going for 3D printing. But not all kind of materials are suitable for 3D printing or precast construction. Okay, so we need better materials suitable for these kind of modern approaches. And to manage 3D printing, okay, or to manage precast construction, we need suitable project management systems. So you have seen all these videos, right? These Chinese videos where a lot of things are done in the factory and assembled at the site. Okay, so we need a manufacturing-based approach and a similar planning system and monitoring system as well we require in construction. So given that a lot of things is going to be off-site in construction, so we need to implement lean construction and other techniques in in construction as well. Okay, so this is how these advancements in project management systems are triggered. Okay, so for implementing 3D printing, so a linear scheduling method-based solution or a location-based management system is required. Okay, so let us look at what are the kind of advancements that are coming up in construction materials. And I'm not going to take much time. I'm going to brief about the advancements that is coming up in each of these fields. And why these advancements are coming up in materials is because of the scale and complexity and sustainability related challenges. And 7% of CO2 emissions accrue from cement production today. Okay, and so we need better alternatives to cement. And sand is becoming an endangered resource, so we need an alternative for sand as well. And if you take M20 concrete, research says that 1 cubic meter of M20 concrete consumes 320 liters of water in manufacturing and curing. So we need to do something about this, better techniques and better materials. And corrosion losses from our buildings add up to 5% of our GDP. This is really huge. We need to do something about this. And when we're going for prefabricated construction or precast construction and 3D printing, the question is, can your regular concrete be used for these applications? So we need better materials suitable for these applications. Okay, so how are we responding to these challenges? So here is where we have a lot of advancements in materials. So I told that 7% of CO2 emissions come from cement production. To counter this, we are coming up with supplementary cementitious materials like LC3. It's limestone, calcined clay cement. And this is the resource where you can read more about this particular material. Indian government has heavily invested in this material. And why this material is quite important today is because there is 40% reduction in clinker constitution in the cement. And you know that in traditional Portland cement, it's about 80 to 90% clinker constitution. And here we are bringing it down to 50% clinker constitution. And 30% is about calcined clay. And 15% is raw limestone. And 5% is gypsum. And 15 to 25% substitution of cement we are trying to achieve through use of fly ash, silica film. There's a lot of Indian research on use of rice as ash and sugarcane bagasse ash, because these materials are available plenty in our country. And we're also using a lot of admixtures and additives today. And this is something you need to know for your interviews as well. So additives is a material that is added during the grinding of cement clinker at the factory, whereas admixture is added during the batching of concrete. And there are chemical admixtures and mineral admixtures today. And in admixtures, you have plasticizers to increase the workability of concrete, and you have retarders today. And why we use retarders in very hot climates to increase the setting time, we use retarders. And in very cold climates, to reduce the setting time, we use accelerators. We use air entraining admixtures to improve the mechanical strength of the concrete. And we use anti-washout admixtures for underwater usage, bonding admixtures for rehab projects. And I told that 5% of GDP is being lost because of corrosion in buildings, right? So we are trying to address that by using corrosion inhibiting admixtures today. And there are other better alternatives to sand that's coming up in our country. And so our annual requirement of sand is 1.5 billion metric tons. So here is where we're trying to use copper slag or granulated blast furnace slag or bottom ash or corridors. And one area we have not quite explored very well is the use of construction and demolition waste. The research says that India produces about 421 million tons of construction and demolition waste every year. And if you recycle this and if you reclaim from this, so a possibility is that you could get 30% yield as aggregates. Okay, so about 130 to 140 million tons can be the yield as aggregates that can be used in place of cement. And you all know about M-sand as well. Then there are other advancements in construction technology, and nanotechnology related advancements are aplenty today. So, and most of these nanoparticles like nano alumina, nano silica, so their function is to improve the hydration of cement particles. And so nano silica particularly, it gives better particle packing capabilities and improved mechanical properties, and it imparts better strength and durability to the concrete. And to improve fatigue resistance as well, we use copper nanoparticles, and we use nano titanium as well, which kind of gives a self-healing capability in CC roads. Even if some slight damage is imposed, it kind of heals itself. And for fire resistance of steel structures, we are using again nanoparticles. And other techniques, I spoke about precast construction and 3D printing. So here as well, there are challenges in choosing the right kind of materials. And for 3D printing, you know that we need a highly workable form of concrete, right? So this is some image of 3D printing. You can see that the concrete needs to flow like a paste. And so you need a highly workable concrete that flows like a paste. And so 3D printing is nothing but so this additive manufacturing concept. Okay? And so you deposit this layer by layer. And again, the requirement here is that you can't do compaction here. Okay? So this concrete should have self-compacting capabilities. And so another advantage with precast construction is the rapidness with which you can do the construction. There's going to be plenty of water savings as well. We discussed about water consumption per cubic meter of concrete. But there are other challenges related to precast construction. For instance, for this solution to work, you need to have a lot of these precast sites around the precast plant. You need to cluster these sites around the plant. Only then this plant becomes more viable. Without demand, this plant is not viable. Okay? And why there cannot be enough demand, the aspect or reason lies in the design aspects. For instance, in construction, okay, uniqueness is the norm. Okay? Whereas in manufacturing, so if you take one model of car, every model resembles the same. There are some minor modifications that you can do to the car. Okay? But in construction, uniqueness is the norm. And if you take regions like Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, here there is a norm that so apartment units should not have common walls. So maybe in Kolkata or West Bengal, so you have this norm that toilet should be outside the houses. So there is a very limited chance for standardization. So we are looking at options for mass customization, where we will be down the line, we'll be saying that this building is going to be constructed in precast. Okay, so your options is so a 5x8 kitchen or an 8x10 kitchen, but not a 6x8 kitchen. Okay, so that can be an imposition that comes out of this precast. Okay, so only selected sizes or variants are available. So that is in terms of design. Okay, that is one important challenge. To implement this kind of a norm or restriction is going to be challenging. Second thing is that logistics is going to be a challenge if the precast plant is going to be located far away from the site, and during transport as well, a lot of these panels can get damaged. And another aspect is that, so what was observed in this IIT Tirupati campus was that they used this precast concept for constructing the hostels. And during this process, they found that a lot of these panels came to the site in the trucks, and they were not able to quite figure out which panel needs to go where. Then later on, they brought out an RFID based intervention to identify this correctly. Okay, so that is one challenge. And another challenge related to construction is that we need heavily skilled labor to work with great levels of precision. And when you compare precast with in situ construction, in situ construction, we do a lot of jugaad on the site. So that is not possible in the case of precast construction. Okay, so we need heavily skilled labor for precast construction as against unskilled labor who are used for in situ or traditional construction. So your cost is going to be heavy for precast construction because you require skilled labor. So for construction as well, you require skilled labor. For your inside or in factory casting of these panels as well, you require skilled labor, because inside a factory you need to pay as per the Factories Act, and that is not true for traditional construction. They're not properly paid. So the equation doesn't look like an apple to apple comparison at all. Okay, so in precast construction, maybe you can tell that you can do this building in a span of 1.5 years, and the cost will be say 100 crores. Okay, and maybe in traditional construction, the equation will look like you can do the same building in 2.5 years, but the cost will be 75 crores. Okay, so people will opt for this precast, your traditional construction or in situ construction, and they'll try to be over optimistic about the completion of the project. They'll try to squeeze the schedule, and they'll be optimistic that this project can be done in about 2 years. Okay, so this is some challenge related to precast construction. And even after these buildings are built, okay, so the problem is that, so in US, Europe, and other countries, they do precast construction, and this concept works there. Okay, they don't have any waterproofing or seepage related problems. But this same concept, when used in India, okay, it doesn't work well, because the way we use our buildings is predominantly wet use. So the way we clean our house, we pour buckets of water and clean the house. Our bathroom is always wet. Okay, so in these kind of conditions, okay, there is a chance for greater seepage, and that is a challenge that we are trying to overcome today in terms of precast construction. And so some images of 3D printing as well. So in 3D printing, the extent to which we can go. So we cannot go beyond G+2 maybe. Okay, our current capacity is we can go up to G+2 with additive manufacturing techniques. So then where does this solution fit in? That's the question today. Maybe probably if we take high-rise buildings, all the masonry works, whether it's load-bearing shear walls or non-load-bearing members as well, these masonry work. So you can do this through 3D printing. Whether it can be done in situ or in your factory is a different thing. But this is a very good opportunity where we think that if it is 3D printed, entire house or the building should be 3D printed. That's not the case. Maybe it can be 30% 3D printed, 70% precast. So we need to bring in this combination. Okay, so this is going to be the future in construction. So using a combination of different these techniques, using a combination of in situ, precast, and 3D printing is going to be the future in construction. So some images of 3D printing in construction. And another important advancement is in the area of construction robotics and building automation. And you know that construction industry is heavily labor intensive, and we cannot achieve automation per se. We can achieve certain levels of mechanization. And how we are trying to achieve this today is we are trying to use robots for shuttering, for bar bending as well, for concrete placement as well, for road construction as well, and even for finishing, for tiling activities, for painting activities. We are trying to use robots today, and for floor finishing as well. And when you speak about automation, it is possible to a certain extent in the case of operations and maintenance. So say you have a very huge office floor, and you want to automate the way the air conditioning and lighting operates. You can do this. You can divide this entire floor into various zones, and with the use of motion sensors and occupancy sensors, you can target your HVAC attention and lighting attention. So this will give you better comfort, increased productivity, and reduced maintenance costs. And another advancement in terms of construction technologies, we are having today shear walled buildings today. So this concept is nothing but we have concrete walls which have high plane stiffness, and so these concrete walls provide necessary ductility and resistance to horizontal forces. And research says that so this shear walled buildings can withstand an earthquake on the Richter scale up to 8, and even beyond 8 if there's an earthquake. These buildings will give enough time for the occupants to vacate, okay, so before the building collapses. So there are other advancements in electrical and mechanical aspects of projects as well. For instance, in electrical aspects, you have these smart grids where you have smarter cables. You know that if the cable gets cut, the power gets cut. But today we have self-healing cables. So even if these cables are inflicted upon with some damage, so it will heal itself. Okay, so some advantages we are having for this smart grids, and also we are also having microgrids. So we know that today power is being produced in a very decentralized scale. On top of the roof, you can set up your solar power plants or wind turbines, and so maybe power is available at surplus in each of these houses. So to capitalize on this, we are now trying out for these microgrids, where at a local level you can take and tap the surplus power that's available, and in comparison to your national grid that emits a lot of heat, a lot of energy is wasted in the form of heat, energy, and transmission losses. The losses are very minimal when you go for this microgrid concept. And in terms of mechanical aspects of these projects, you know that there are electric cars and autonomous cars today, and similarly in construction machinery as well we have electric machinery, and now we are researching about autonomous construction machinery. You know that backhoe loaders or JCBs are there, or excavators are there. So we are trying out electrical autonomous JCBs that can work in tandem with each other. So interconnected autonomous JCBs. So that's something that's going on in terms of equipment related research. And another important advancement is development of smart materials and mechanical aspects as well. We spoke about smart tools and electrical aspects. So in mechanical aspects, today there are smarter pipes that will heal itself if you inflict some damage upon these pipes. So these are self-repair piping system that is of important use in process plants and other critical applications. And today we are also having IoT. So this terminology IoT is being used for granted, right? So several people use this term, but this technology has been used in the construction industry in the truest sense in the Nagpur metro. So how they used IoT is that they use IoT to implement 60 BIM system. And when you speak about BIM, you know about Revit. It's only 3D model, right? So what they in Nagpur metro they did is they attached the schedule with the 3D model, so it became 4D BIM. They attached the cost with the 3D model, it became 5D BIM, and they attached also O&M with the 5D model, so that became 60 BIM. So how they attached O&M to this 5D model or 3D model is that, so they had sensors and actuators. So say you have a column or beam, you attach sensors to these columns or beams, and you take signals from these sensors through this building management system, and this building management system is in turn connected to your ERP and Revit. Okay, so it will constantly give these stress and strain readings from this column or beam, and then if the beam is going to fail, automatically this will be giving an alert in the 3D model saying that this component is going to fail, and automatically this will create an alert or a job card for the O&M team. Okay, so this can be extended not only for your civil structures but also for your other MEP components like CCTV cameras, for your air conditioners as well. So when these components fail, automatically you'll be notified in your system. Okay, in the 3D level you'll be notified. So that's what they achieved using IoT. They developed an entire virtual dashboard of the entire metro, okay, which can be observed through their servers and the supercomputers that they have in the metro. They can observe this on a real time. And other advancements in mechanical aspects, you have ductless HVAC systems where you pass tubes of water and you're trying to achieve this cooling. Okay, so this is called radiative cooling, just like your how your car radiator works. Okay, so it works as a jacket around your engine, right? So similar concept you are having. And in terms of safety as well, we are trying to use IoT. So we are giving this wearable devices like smart watches to these workers, construction workers, and we are always monitoring their vitals and whether they are falling down, whether their pulse is very low, and whether they are working in very hazardous environment. Okay, and so if their pulse is very low, automatically from the command center they'll stop the worker from working. Okay, so only when the workers work in these kind of conditions, health conditions, a lot of accidents occur, right? And also sensors are attached to workers clothing and hard hats as well. So if they're working in a very hazardous environment, if they're getting hit with something, automatically the command center will know that and they can take immediate action on this. Okay, so and now we'll come to advancements in project management techniques. We spoke about advancements in materials and technology so far. And the third advancement is in the form of better managerial techniques. I told that today we are doing a lot of things offsite. Okay, we are having better techniques. We are trying to adopt manufacturing-based approaches in construction. So the way we plan, monitor, and control projects also need to change. Okay, so that's where we are trying to implement lean project management systems in construction as well. So this lean concept is derived from Toyota Production System. So they are the masters of lean manufacturing, and the same concept we are trying to adopt in construction. But there is a fundamental difference in between your manufacturing and construction, right? So in your manufacturing, the product always is in motion from assembly line to assembly line. So there is a very good cycle time concept in manufacturing. So there is a greater level of certainty. And we are trying to use similar techniques, okay, in a very customized way for construction. And in construction, the product is stationary, but we want a similar cycle time concept in construction. Okay, so there are various tools that we use to achieve that today. And one of the important tools that we use in construction is last burner system. And so these are advancements that are happening in terms of project management techniques as well. So if we change the techniques and materials, the management techniques also need to change. And so other important advancements is in the terms of program management. So today we learned that each project is unique. Now we are trying to challenge this concept, and we are trying to look at projects as a series of program. Okay, so as a program, we are trying to look at this. So program management is a new terminology that we are introducing today. And in projects, other important challenges, so that is related to strict timelines, numerous stakeholders, and if you don't manage these things very well, there will be a lot of time and cost overruns. So we need to use specialized techniques to oversee planning, design, and construction of a project. And this is where your role is quite important as a project manager. You'll be responsible for planning the activities, for organizing the project team, to coordinate with various teams, to manage the deliverables on the project, to monitor time and cost on the project, and to establish regular meetings, and to manage reports and necessary documentation in the project. And the key skills that you will require on the job is you'll need scheduling skills, you need costing skills on how to take up the quantities, how to assign unit rates, and how to prepare the bill of materials and the entire costing for the projects. You need good communication skills, quality skills. You need to have knowledge about construction quality, and about risk management as well, about resource management, and about financial management. I spoke about earned value analysis and job cost reports earlier. And you need to have knowledge on modern construction methods, and you need to have contract management skills as well, and skills regarding arbitration and dispute resolution as well. So how to read contracts and identify risk from these contracts. And you also need to have a hang of modern computer applications. So the typical softwares that is used in construction, you need to have knowledge of all these software. For instance, for planning, So you need to learn Primavera and Microsoft project. And for usually these Japanese funded projects, we go for Primavera. In other projects, we go for Microsoft project. And if it is a road project or a metro rail project or high-rise project, which involves repetitive construction, we use a technique called linear scheduling method or a location-based management system. And for cost estimation, we use a different kind of software called Candy. For road estimation, you need to learn this software called Calquan. For risk management, a different software, at risk. And you know that so Revit is used for 3D modeling, right? So that's what we have learned so far. But companies like L&T, they're doing 4D modeling and 5D modeling. I told that when you attach the schedule to the 3D model, it becomes a 4D model. So you can simulate the entire progress and make interventions. And if you attach the cost as well, it becomes a 5D model. If you attach the O&M as well, it becomes a 6D model. And today we are also looking at 7D models. Okay, so later on we'll have 7D models that incorporate sustainability and other aspects. And this is what is the advancements related to BIM. Now the question is that now if I need to join the construction industry, I need to upskill myself in all these areas. So materials, project management techniques and technology. And after all this, after all the efforts, your question can be, will the industry pay you very well, right? So I'll just give you an example from my work experience. So in 2012, my gross monthly salary was about 25,000. And in just a span of 2 years, okay, you can look at my gross salary became about 3 times. Okay, so this is the kind of hike that the construction industry gives. You won't receive such hikes in IT at all. Maybe in IT, so they give you this hike upfront, but in construction, only if the company knows that you're going to stay, so they'll give you this hike. Okay, and so maybe in IT industry, so the higher package is given upfront, and later on within the same company, the hike is very, very limited. Okay, so this is what people don't know about construction industry. And today, so this is about 2012 to 2014, right? Today the starting package for postgraduates in construction management is 6.5 lakhs per annum. And think about the hike that you will get in a span of about 2 to 3 years. And normally people don't speak about other benefits that come with the job. So your bachelor accommodation or family accommodation is completely borne by the industry. And so this is phenomenal cost, right? And no other industry offers this kind of a benefit. And construction companies normally provide a very comprehensive insurance package. And all these things are not a part of your pay package at all. Okay, so IT has the CTC concept. Okay, but this is not the CTC, this is the gross pay. Okay, so and all these benefits I'm telling about, accommodation, insurance, is over and above this gross pay. And so your transport is taken care by the company, your food is taken care by the company. Okay, so a lot of things are taken care by the company, your phone bills, your other bills are taken care by the company. Okay, so these are benefits that people normally don't speak about. So you need appropriate skills and knowledge to tap these opportunities. You need to gain knowledge about advancements in materials, technology, and project management techniques. And the only way you can do it is through probably a postgraduate degree in construction management. So advanced education and training helps you get oriented and affiliated to the construction industry. And here is where NICMAR as an organization can help you. So I'm sure that you'll feel at home at NICMAR and the construction industry. So now I'll invite Professor Prasad to take over, and he'll tell you about what are the opportunities that are available in construction industry, and what are the roles and various profiles that are available, and how you can grab these opportunities.
Yeah, good afternoon all. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, so give me a moment. Is the presentation visible? Can anybody confirm?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. So Dr. Mahesh has already given you sufficient overview about the recent advances in the field of construction technology and management, and what industry is expecting from the graduates in these fields. So in this part of the presentation, I'll be discussing more on what are the opportunities all of you, all the graduates of these civil, electrical, and mechanical engineering have in the field of construction, real estate, and infrastructure projects. So the entire presentation is structured into these 5 broad components. Firstly, I'll give an overview of how the industry is structured. The pipeline of the projects with the government of India is sanctioning the budget outlay. So the timeline for these projects to be completed, and what are the challenges our construction industry is facing in terms of the project delivery, and how do we overcome these challenges, what is required to overcome these challenges, and towards the end, what are the opportunities in terms of the various job profiles with the core engineering streams of civil, electrical, mechanical, and even for that matter architecture students can take up with some fine tuning of their skills and additional training. So, and towards the end of the presentation, I'll discuss as to what are the additional, key training that is required to transform a graduate from a core engineer to a techno-commercial manager. So now, if we are talking about Indian industry today, if we are talking about the Indian infrastructure industry, comprising even of the real estate sector, is one of the fastest growing markets across the world. So already there has been sufficient research which has said that we are going to be one of the large leaders in terms of the demand and the infrastructure delivery within no time. So today India is the 3rd largest construction market across the world, and as we speak today, the industry is comprised broadly into 2 aspects. One is the infrastructure projects, and the secondly the real estate projects. Now, why are we seeing this kind of increased demand for infrastructure projects in India? What is causing this change? Now, as you may see, okay, so out of India's overall population of nearly 138 crore, nearly about 45 crore of the population are living in cities. Okay. So, which nearly is about 37 to 38% of our overall population is living in cities. Now, this is expected to double within the next 15 years, which means almost about by then the population will also grow up. Okay, so it's not going to be 138 crore. So within the next 15 to 20 years, the number of people who are going to live in the cities is going to increase up to 90 crore. Okay, so already, as you may see, our cities are saturated. There are problems with the traffic congestion. People are not having adequate living space. There are issues with the income and sufficient opportunities for earning in the cities, and that's where the government has to come up with the newer cities and expansion of the smaller cities to be able to cater to this increased urbanization. Okay, so that is where government today is focusing increasingly on building more and more infrastructure projects, developing tier 2, tier 3 cities, which can provide a sustainable living, okay, and sustainable opportunities for matching with the urbanization. So as we speak today, our Indian infrastructure industry is comprised of over 250 subsectors, and government has planned to invest about 111 lakh crore of, look at the amount of funding, 111 lakh crore of funding is planned to be invested during the period of 2020 to 25 over nearly about 8,000 projects. Okay, that's the kind of number of projects India is going to have, and this is the demand. So even in the recent even in the last recently held Republic Day and Independence Day also, the Prime Minister emphasized on the accelerated infrastructure development towards this. There are many schemes which the government of India is planning. So here, if you are able to see, like India is also getting a lot of foreign domestic investment, FDI. So that's where our infrastructure segment is poised. Now, when you are coming to real estate sector, like I said, we must be able to provide a sufficient living spaces. So almost about 38 million households to be constructed by 2030, within the next 7 to 8 years. So this is expected to grow nearly about 75 lakh crore. Look at the amount of opportunity all of you are having. 75 lakh crore of investment, 38 million households to be constructed, 11 lakh crore of funding within the next 3 to 4 years. So with these extent of governments focusing on Indian infrastructure industry, so how do these projects happen if there are no people to execute these projects? That's the worry. That's where we wanted to emphasize on the kind of opportunities all of you are having. And in the recent years, because of the pandemic, as you may see, people have got accustomed to buying everything in remote. Okay, so today if you want to buy something, you would not go to a mall. So you will just order it online, get it the day you want, when you want it. So in the recent years, because of the the pandemic has exposed to newer opportunities. Companies like Amazon, Flipkart, they want to build larger warehouses to cater to this increased demand. So the logistics also is dependent on this. So if I want something, I want it today. How can this be delivered when I want it? So it means I should have a very good logistic support to get what the customer wants. So that is where logistics sector is also having an increased momentum. Now, where does logistic come? So government is constructing many dedicated freight corridors. We already have Western freight corridor, Eastern freight corridor. So likewise, many freight corridors expected to come. So all of you are having a tremendous opportunity in the industry. So now this is the sectoral breakup of the opportunity. As you can see, so out of the 111 lakh crores of funding, about 20 lakh crore is being planned for roads. Another 16 lakh crore is for urban and housing. Another 14 lakh crore, nearly 14 lakh crore for railways. Power, about 12 lakh crores. Renewable energy, 9.3, and irrigation, 7.8 crores. So almost 80% of the funding is in these 5 to 6 sectors. So why roads? Because if you take today, India's road network is about 65 lakh kilometers, out of which only about 5% of India's roads are state or national highways. So what about the balance 95%? So this is the opportunity. So urban and housing, which I already emphasized. So increasing urbanization, you should have better housing infrastructure available within the cities. Also urban projects like transportation projects, connecting people, from employment places to the place of residence, and many transportation projects. Railways, okay. So railways plays a very important role. Conventional power. So if you look at India today, almost 65% of India's power generation comes from thermal power plants only, which run on coal. So coal cannot be available forever. So therefore, India is shifting towards renewable power energy sources. So therefore, we are having many projects in this segment also. So all of these are opportunities. So this is about the task force which has set up the national infrastructure pipeline for investment. So this is the sectoral breakup. Almost about 34% of the projects are related to energy. About 24% of the projects are related to urban infrastructure. Another 25% of the projects are related to roadways. and another 17% of the projects are related to railways. So this is where how the investment is split into these large 4 sectors, and this is the share of investment. About 40% is going to be the central government investment, 40% of money is going to be put up by states, and balanced by the private sector, which is where public-private partnership will happen. They will invest the money. Okay, so these are the various schemes which are announced by the government towards these projects. Okay, many policies are in progress: port development, urban infrastructure projects, solar power related projects, road infrastructure, some of which we already discussed. Okay, now coming to what are the challenges. Okay, so this is the opportunity where the government is struggling. Okay, so which is a report, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, MOSPI, publishes a report of project overruns. Okay, so which is where this is related to projects having size of 150 crore plus. So as you can see, out of almost about 1700 projects, 400 projects are running with cost overrun, where original cost which the project has commissioned, it has already exhausted. Project is not completed. So additional funds are required to complete the project. Cost is overrun. Schedule. So around 400 projects are delayed with respect to, if you look at this segment, almost 450 projects are delayed with respect to their original schedule. So if a project was told 3 years, in 3 years they could not complete. Now again, after, so once they know that these projects cannot be complete, they revise the schedule. Even in the revised schedule, projects are delayed. So almost about 800 projects, if we club all these together, which is nearly about 50% of the 1700 projects, are suffering with the problems of time and cost overrun. Only about 200 projects, which is very small percentage, is going as per the schedule. So this is the problem we are having. So 50% of the projects are running with delay and time overrun. Okay. Now, what are the areas where projects are suffering? Land acquisition is becoming a major problem. Project financing. People are not able to understand how the project are to be financed. What can be done to resolve these issues? Lack of infrastructural support. Okay, so people having not adequate knowledge of tendering mechanisms. Okay, so finalization of the scope and engineering. This is where construction industry needs people who can tackle all of these issues, can address multiple issues. Okay, that's where additional skill development is required. Now, another report which is published by the Niti Aayog says that India will need 70 lakh. Okay, note this: 70 lakh skilled project managers are required in the next 10 years for delivering roads, railways, and other infrastructure. Where will these 70 lakh come from? Okay, it has to be someone from you. Okay, it has to be from you. So 70 lakh in 10 years means it has to be roughly about 7 lakh per year. So that's the kind of demand the industry is having. So real estate sector alone has having about 40 lakh shortage, about 7.5 crores with skill deficit. So if industry has to move forward, if the government has to achieve this national infrastructure pipeline of achieving urbanization and related infrastructure, it is very essential that industry needs these people having adequate skills. Another report published by KPMG and PMI lists all of the major shortages. As you can see, there is almost about 50 to 60% shortage in the skilled certified project managers, cost managers, quantity surveys, people who can take out quantities, commercial manager who can develop proposals, architects, site managers, okay, safety officers, people who are appreciate or were able to ensure that safely projects can be executed. Environmental practitioners, environmental compliance is a major requirement for all infrastructure projects. So all of these are areas where industry is facing acute shortage. The numbers itself say to what extent the shortage is there within these roles. So this is where all of you can have the opportunity to fit in with additional knowledge, training, and development. Okay. Now let us, so having discussed about the industry, the opportunities, let me take you to how NICMAR is into this industry of training graduates who become industry ready with some additional learning. Okay, so like I said, NICMAR University Hyderabad. Okay, so we are an industry we are an institute fully set up by the construction industry. So it's been more than 35 years since our institute is set up, and more than 35,000 alumni are there globally. Okay, and we are known because our association is with the industry, and our curriculum program, everything is industry driven. Okay, so that's a unique plus point. And how do we ensure that the skills and training required by the core engineering graduates are given to the graduates? Okay, so through our programs. So we are running two flagships programs from the Hyderabad campus, which is 2-year program in MBA in Advanced Construction Management, which focuses and trains students on managerial aspects based on the technical skills, provides training on newer digital tools, softwares, train students on managerial aspects. Okay, so these are some of the unique plus points of this course, which where the students can head out to larger infrastructure projects like highways, metros, real estate industries, and valuation. These are some of the core areas where our students are getting placed. Second program is MBA in Engineering Project Management, which is where this course specializes on training students on process-based industries like oil and gas, power plants. So these are the areas where this is focusing on. Okay. Apart from this, we are running 3 programs. 1-year program on quantity surveying and contract management, where the focus is on how to take out the quantities, how to read drawings, how to interpret contract documents, how to provide contractual solutions. Second program is on health and safety, so which is where students are trained on managing and health safety in construction projects. Third is logistics and supply chain. So like I mentioned some time ago, there is increased scope for logistics in construction projects. So almost all of the resources are connected to logistics. So this is where students will be trained on developing logistic solutions for various projects. So apart from this, we are running part-time programs for working professionals with about 3 years of minimum experience. This is run on Sundays only. So why are we unique? Why NICMAR University Hyderabad? Okay. So like I said, our content curriculum is based on industry. So our programs are run with guest lectures, seminars, site visits where students can relate theory with practice. We are having a 10-week dedicated summer internship where students will go to some reputed companies, work there, understand what is happening in the industry, and come back and work on the same. So we focus on both this, supplementing technical skills and focusing more on managerial ability. So if you are put up on a construction site, nowhere you are required to handle only one task. You are required to have multi-dimensional activities. That's where you must be having knowledge of all these areas. So which is where we are focusing on. So you must be able to manage planning, cost management, resource management, so software applications. So this is something that we additionally train. So it is not that there are not opportunities in the industry. The industry is having sufficient opportunities provided you are industry ready. How do you become industry ready? Having knowledge about what is happening in the industry and getting trained on what the advances in the field of construction technology and management. So why the NICMAR Hyderabad advantages? Like I said, faculty are coming with almost about 10 to 12 years of industry experience, with most of them are PhDs from reputed institutions. Our curriculum, like I said, is industry based with the case based learning approach. We all have sufficient student support systems through research. Student clubs are there. Alumni collect is still we are having. Okay, and we are having a well equipped infrastructure. Okay, dedicated labs, libraries. Okay, so that's how we are having this unique advantage. Now come to this is where you'll have the have to focus on career opportunities. Look at the type of roles you can have after your post graduation in construction management. You can be a contract manager, you can be a project manager, you can manage the project finances, you can take up commercial marketing or business development, environmental management, logistics and supply chain manager, entrepreneurship. Some of you can also take up your own business. Okay, so there is also an requirement of understanding property laws. Okay, so what are the laws when you are trying to come up with a newer project? So many ample opportunities across diverse industries. So we are having a scholarship support system for meritorious students depending upon their marks from 10th to graduation. These details are available in our website. We are having many educational loan partners who are connected to us who can provide financial support to students who are in need of this. So we are connected with the research and consultancy proposals of many reputed government and private organizations on all these areas. Recruiters, this is our unique hallmark. Okay, so we have just listed only a very few recruiters here. Okay, so this year, like I said, more than 75 plus recruiters have visited our campus, and this is the statistics this year. So advanced construction management, 96% of the students are placed. When I say 96%, only 8 students are left out of a batch of 225. Other program, engineering project management, 100% of the students are placed. So with these many companies, we are able to successfully place our students in reputed organizations. Okay, so with a very good pay package. Okay, so nearly in the range of around 5 to 6 lakhs per annum on an average. So this is our placement committee and support system for students. So these are some of the just profiles. Okay, so we are having Ambuja Neotia, who are in the hospitality industry, L&T Realty, CBRE, again a property management consultancy who are into real estate industry, Voltas, a company from Dubai, okay, Zetwork, a logistics management company in India, Ultratech Cement for the BD roles, okay, HDFC, like I said, banks also need people who are having valuation aspect. Okay, before granting the loan, they should be able to look at the proposals from the contractors, whether the proposal is sound enough. Okay, so banks are hiring. Greenco is a integrated renewable energy company, Raheja, L&T Constructions, Adani, LiveSpace, many companies. So if I have to put up all the companies, we need 75 slides. So we have taken only very few companies here. Okay, so these are some of the unique opportunities all of our graduates are having. In terms of collaborations, we are having many collaboration with the digital technology partners. Bexel India is into providing BIM-based solutions. Texas University in USA, we are having collaboration with them. So we are having a Trace Coast Private Limited collaboration with them, Canadian software firm. Okay, and our campus photos, reception blocks, student lounges, academic blocks, auditoriums, conference rooms, seminar rooms, classrooms, labs. All of these labs are fitted with Microsoft Project, Primavera, BIM-related softwares, Candy, Calcon. Okay, so all of the advanced project management softwares are available in our labs. Gym facilities, RO plant, STP plants, dedicated bank branch, annual fest. So like I said, if you have to develop our students' managerial abilities, communication abilities, we are having annual cultural fest where students take part. Cultural fest is an internal part or integral part of our campus life for the students. So as far as the admission, okay, the first round of admissions for our full-time programs are completed. The next round of admission shall be announced very soon, and it will be entire process will be online. There will be a written test followed by a group discussion and personal interview, and very soon these details shall be announced in our website. So if you need more details, you can refer to these website, contact us on these email IDs. You can also dial up on our telephone numbers which are displayed here, or you can contact Dr. Mahesh or myself on this email ID, okay, or contact number. Okay, with that, I conclude my presentation here. If there are any doubts which you may be having, I am open to discuss them now. Any doubts, any queries? Thank you everyone. Sirs, any query, any doubt? Thank you. Thank you everybody for this opportunity given to us for this webinar. On behalf of NICMAR Hyderabad, I would like to thank our admissions team, our IT team, and the university for giving us this opportunity for presenting our webinar today. Thank you everybody.